Starting with lots of releases today, not just Rio, but the RBA minutes. From your perspective, what was most telling?
Carsten, I guess the RBA minutes had a big impact in terms of the Australian currency, and those July the 2nd minutes indicated that the RBA would be willing to wait to see the impact of previous rate cuts, and it does look like that the impact of the Aussie dollar weakening is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for our central bank. So if we just have a look at the Australian dollar impact today, this is what it looks like. As you can see, when those minutes came out, we did see the Australian dollar shooting up as the market pared back its expectations around an August rate cut. So I guess that was the biggest thing in Australia domestically today. Of course, we also saw Rio Tinto coming out with its production numbers, and they were better than expected. But all in all, if we have a look at the market performance, a rise of just 0.1%. And I think the thing that stood out to me the most in today's session were the lack of volumes. Under $3 billion worth of stock being traded. And that means it's been 9 sessions now where we have seen the market trading under $4 billion worth of stock a day. So volumes extremely light, and it's not just the Australian market. We have a look at the US market overnight. We did see the lowest full trading volume day for the United States as well. So it does look like if investors are taking a position on the market, a lot of the market themes are macro-driven at the moment, and then perhaps choosing to play that through the FX market or through the commodity markets rather than the equity markets. In terms of the domestic market, it was the financials really holding up our market and keeping it from slipping in the red. We saw consumer stocks being sold off heavily, both on the discretionary and the staples side. And I guess the standout area were really uranium stocks. We saw Paladin up by 7.3%, ERA up by 4.1%. That was on the back of Paladin's production numbers. We did see a full-year record coming in there, but all in all, a really quiet session for the Aussie market.
This result from Rio today, what does it now, I suppose, put on BHP? What does BHP have to do to achieve the same kind of outcome in the minds of investors? Because what we saw with Rio was a coasting story and then a takeoff on the numbers.
If we have a look at Rio Tinto's result, I guess we were expecting to see a bit of a softer result. So nice to see Rio Tinto beating expectations. And there was a couple of reasons why the market expected a softer iron ore result from Rio Tinto compared to BHP Billiton. One, there has been heavy rain in that Pilbara region, and that's impacted on operations. But secondly, Rio Tinto did have the problem with the conveyor belt at Cape Lambert, which also impacted on its operations. So it's great to see Rio Tinto actually coming out and beating. In terms of iron ore production, we saw it coming in at 66 million tonnes, and that's a record result. If we have a look at things like copper as well and aluminium, we saw a rise there year on year, so that was good to see. And if we have a look at guidance, they're sticking to their 265 million tonnes for the full year in terms of iron ore. It looks like their ramp up to 290 million tonnes per annum is still on course for the third quarter of this year, and of course they're still considering ramping up to 360 million tonnes per annum by the first half of 2015. Some of the themes still remain the same. They're still reducing most of their capital expenditure, so still talking about more than $200 million worth of capital expenditure being cut in this financial year. But altogether, a pretty solid result coming out of Rio Tinto, and but the themes really remaining the same here. In terms of BHP Billiton, tomorrow we are expecting to see the iron ore production to be strong, given that BHP hasn't seen the operational problems that Rio Tinto has. And also we're watching the petroleum, but we're not really expecting any surprises on that front either. So watching BHP Billiton tomorrow, but not really expecting to see a huge deviation from market consensus there. But the iron ore operations expected to come in stronger than Rio Tinto, given Rio Tinto's operational problems.